Episode 4, Takiawase, written by Scott Nimefro and Brian Fuller, directed by David Semmel. As a little added bonus this week, I'd like to let you know that if you are following us on Twitter, we are currently running a giveaway for some Hannibal goodies, a custom-etched cutting board, some art prints, and also one of the keychains that I am currently working on. So if you're curious and would like to take part in the giveaway, go have a look. It ends on the 25th of October. Best of luck. Welcome to Fate and Circumstance, a Hannibal fan podcast. I am your main host, Felix Fanfaron Fern, and these are my co-hosts.
Hello, I am Melisa Suzan. Nice to meet you, definitely for the first time. Probably for the first time for some people, so yeah, nice to meet you.
Hello, I'm Shaira Bambi, and I have no thoughts. Head empty.
I'm in the mood.
Did you like how I didn't try and say anything clever and I just went straight into it and it came out a lot more smoothly?
Yeah.
I might do that from now on, or I'll just be awkward like I normally am, but I was quite proud of myself with that.
Look, I'm awkward too. I'm completely head empty.
Yeah, my brain started just going and I was like, okay, mouth, this is what we're doing.
I think normally you get the preamble of me stumbling on something, and I didn't give you that today.
No, it's okay.
I'm cruel.
Stumble on these nuts, sorry.
Okay, right.
You're like, no, Melissa, no.
We were actually
for the 8th time. Stop.
We were just talking about how unhinged you are.
Yeah, another quotable Melissa bit in a moment.
They'll keep coming.
They're gonna keep coming, and we're gonna keep loving them.
Embarrass her until she explodes.
My face is warm. My face.
Oh, your face is warm and cute.
You. That's true. Adorable bastards.
Oh.
Right. So, I will start out with our weekly shout-outs that we have been doing.
Weekly shout-out. That's the jingle for it now.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. You need to do it exactly like that every week now.
Okay, brilliant. I'm going to have to remember that.
I hold you to that. I said I'll forget by tomorrow. So. As usual, they are artists. At some point, I'll probably do some shout-outs for like fan fiction writers.
Yay,
but I follow a lot of artists. As anyone who follows our Twitter knows, where there are now lots of penises.
Yeah!
Yay! Embrace
Remember the willies.
Embrace
yeah.
Said the sapphic woman.
I was going to say, yeah, not just penises. So our first shout out is Reaper Sun, who is ReaperSun_art on Twitter. But as always, I'll put all of the social media details on our social media because it's much easier than me trying to read it out. But Reaper Sun's artwork is beautifully detailed, and they also make a lot of gorgeous comics, including original stories. My personal favourite of which is The Black Lamb, where Will is like a witch, and all of the other characters are some form of cryptid or demon, and it's like a retelling of the plot of Hannibal, but with supernatural elements.
That's really cool.
It's extremely good and very hot. And as we were discussing looking at some of Reaper Sun's art, they also do amazing Sylvanian family artwork.
Yeah.
The other artist that we're shouting out this week is Annie Luatar. I apologise hugely if I've horribly mispronounced that. But Annie does gorgeous Hanagram artwork as well as HEU or Hannibal Extended Universe artwork. Which again is beautifully detailed, and a lot of it is incredibly saucy. There's a lot of very, very sexy artwork. And also does some gorgeous trans Hanagram artwork as well, which is always hugely valued by us.
Saucy. Whoop whoop.
So yeah, they'll all be on our socials. So normally I begin by asking what you thought of the episode, but before I do that, I'm going to get this out of the way. Because it's going to come up anyway.
You apologise right to us right now. You apologise right now.
It's almost an apology. I was going to say rest in peace, Beverly Cats. I apologise for emotionally harming my co-hosts by introducing them to the show.
Yeah. Okay.
I did let both Melissa and Shaira know immediately after we watched this episode that things will get worse before they get better, because I didn't want to sugarcoat that or give them any false hope. I believe it was Dream who said it gets worse and it gets better and then it gets worse again, which is also correct.
Oh.
Why
do we watch this show? Why do we torture ourselves so?
Literally.
Because we
Always
love
felt like
pain.
giving up.
What an episode. So what did you think of the episode?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
My Beverly.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I actually didn't like it. There was things that happened that I didn't like. I didn't like it for anything to do with like bad acting. Maybe one part. I enjoyed everything in the sense of like for what it is, because it's Hannibal and I enjoy every single episode. And there was a lot of things that I couldn't like that made me like really wince and look away, which is fine. That, again, I've always said it means it's a good thing. They're doing everything well.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the way that Miss Bella was like, goodbye, Dr. Lecter.
Oh yeah, you
and
hated
then,
that.
I was like, come on, that took me right out of the moment. I thought that was a little bit too... It just felt like so not the style of the show. It was like completely out of it for me, because everything was so like immersive and so real and so well done to such a high standard, and then just, goodbye, Dr. Lecter. I was like, pardon? What do you mean? I didn't like that personally, but that's me being nitpicky. I think her performance of everything, like literally up until that line, her whole performance of it was like insanely beautiful. And I think dying in a realistic way is one of the hardest things to act out. Like, it is insane because it's like, how can you? You don't know how to die because we haven't done it yet. So it's difficult. So like literally incredible. I just didn't like that line choice. I was like, okay, this is one thing that I for once don't like. And then taking away Miss Beverly from me, what have I got to live for now?
Right.
What's the point? What's the point? I quit. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. I'm out. See you later.
That's understandable. I
Do you know
accept
what I mean? I'm sad. That's my thoughts and feelings. Over to you, Shaira.
No. Sorry.
What I mean?
That's all I can think of. Like, no, not Beverly. Why would you break my heart?
Real.
Hanny, why would you do this?
He's a bad man. He's a bad man.
He is a bad man, and
he
not
looked
a
bad as
good
fuck
man.
when it panned to him though at the end when she was like, before she was turning around and he was just there in the shadows with the lights on, and he was just there like blurry, but you know he looked hard as fuck.
Yeah, the
cinematography
was really cool. Yeah, like I was I was simultaneously going, damn, Hanny, and simultaneously going, no,
damn, Hanny, damn, Hanny.
Yeah, like, yeah, God, yeah.
It's the conflicting emotions.
It's conflicting emotions. I didn't like the fact that I didn't like I think there was too much going on at that in this episode. But
a lot of little things happen. There's lots of like short scenes. Lots.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
3 or 4. I think there's 4 main running plots in this episode, and that is quite a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah.
Like
for the length that it is.
Yeah, I think it would have been best if it was split out into like a bit more. But like, yeah, I get why they did it. But yeah, it was a lot.
I think somehow definitely worked, but I can. So sorry, Felix. It definitely like did seem like a lot, but I think it somehow worked. Like, they're very good at their natural flow, which I think I don't see. Like, the fact that I'm pointing this out means that it's not often in other shows that I notice this, and I think it's one of the main things that I like in a show in general is when it flows really well and everything works well together. So whenever they've like taken a scene out or anything like that, we've always been like, oh yeah, it does work without it, or even if we've really liked it, this deleted scene, it still like works well without it. So I think they're really good at keeping everything to flow. So to have 4 plots going at the same fucking time and for it to still be like enjoyable to watch. Yes, I think it was a little bit of an information overload, but we were still kind of like can watch it and follow along and enjoy it. I think that's in what, 50 minutes is it? Or 40 minutes? How long is it?
I think it's like just under 50.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is incredible. It's incredible. I think my bias to not liking this episode is because Beverly ultimately gets her.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh no! And I think that I see everything else worse. But yeah, it was a really good
We
episode.
might as well stop the podcast. That's it.
Honestly, I've been nervous about you two getting to this side. I really have, because when I first watched it, I could not believe it had happened, and it did genuinely give me a moment of, do I actually want to continue watching this show? Because that's really hurt my feelings.
Why it hurt my feelings? Yeah.
That's over right now, to be fair, actually, so I don't understand that.
Beverly.
Yeah, completely valid. Like, she is one of the most endearing characters they've introduced. So it's like, we've seen Hannibal do bad things, but never in a way that makes it feel like it's directly harming the audience. And I feel like that's what this is. It's not just Beverly, it's a dig at the audience, and that hurts.
It's also, I think, Beverly was such a key component to Will's innocence and having that glimmer of hope into Will getting his out of where he is and like the truth coming up. And I think that's why it hurts us the most. But I guess for them to continue to have a show, maybe this was her time to go. I can't believe the words that are coming out my fucking gob.
Why?
Oh my god.
It like takes away some of that hope. And I was like, which is just, it makes you feel a little bit empty.
But
But it's
show,
good.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good storytelling. So, you know, I can't fault it for that.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm upset.
Kudos, you hurt our feelings, so we know you're a good show. Thanks for that, bastards.
Yeah.
I would love to know the real-time reaction to this as it was like broadcasting on TV, like how everyone responded to it in like media and stuff.
I bet people lost their shit.
Yeah.
So, before I jump into a little bit of trivia, because I have some trivia for the start of the episode, I wanted to know if you had any thoughts on the first scene where we got to see Abigail again for the first time since season 1.
He's alive!
In Will's head, but...
She's alive? Question mark.
In Will's head.
She's alive? Question mark. I still stand by that she's alive, but you know, it was so cute. I love the scene, and I'm like, damn, Will really missed out on the chance to be daddy because Hannibal took it away from him.
Will.
Yeah, I think the fact that we don't have any kind of definite thing of like we haven't seen hang on.
It's okay. Drink some of my cider.
Keep playing with a bee toy and it's like crinkly, so I was like, what's that noise? Are you coming for a cuddle? Oh, okay. See you later then. Continuing. I think the fact that there's not been anything definitive of Abigail's death. Like, yeah, we've seen an ear. Pardon me. Oh my god. But we've seen an ear, and like when they were doing the presentation in one of the episodes, was it maybe the trial?
Yes,
and
there were
slides
of it and stuff.
Yeah, and they were showing the previous girls' crime scenes with the deceased bodies, and then you just see a picture of Abigail. It was like, why isn't there anything of like, where is her body? Like, why have they not?
Because he would have honoured every part of her, like Garrett Jacob Hobbs. That's the running theory.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean... Well, we know it's not correct because we know it's Hannibal's fault, but that's that's kind of why they're not drawing, I think, too much attention to the lack of a body, because they're claiming that Will was emulating her father.
Okay. Well, I guess for the sake of the audience's perspective, then we've not been presented with anything that kind of defines the fact that she's dead. That's why I think it's easy for me and Shaira to be like, kind of, maybe she isn't dead. I'm not going to believe anything until I see something, or
I'm going to be hopeful.
It's more like I'm kind of like, I would believe that she is, but I also kind of believe that she isn't, and I don't want to believe that she is until I see something.
I'm going to be hopeful.
Sure. You can hold on to that hope, babe.
Such a cute scene.
I appreciate and respect your hope, given that you've just seen Beverly Cats get murdered, sort of.
I know why. Like, how can I keep my hope?
You're not saying anything. about it. So that's also making me feel sus.
I've said multiple times that she's dead, but to be
Oh,
fair,
right.
I think because I keep saying she's dead, I think it's also fair to say that she's alive because I could be a lying asshole. So
It could be, but
the shoe fits if it's coming out of the duck's mouth. Guys, you heard it first.
My heart says she's alive, and I want to believe that.
I mentioned something briefly whilst we were watching. I wanted to know your thoughts on it, which is that Abigail in Will's head, whether you agree or disagree with me, that to me it's a very idealized version of Abigail, because in reality, whilst yes, Will was a father figure, they were actually quite awkward. She was not super comfortable with him and didn't trust him, whereas obviously the version in his head is a daughter figure.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting because it's Abigail, but it's not Abigail.
Yeah.
It's who he sees her as and wants her to be, kind of thing.
Yeah, I find it funny that she's more scared or like awkward with Will than she is with Hannibal, Hannibal's more likely to kill her. And actually, like, as you said, has killed her. I'm air quoting up in my face, but yeah. Whereas Will wouldn't have actually harmed her. Yes, he was awkward, but Will cared for her, and yeah, weird.
Yeah, it's
going
interesting.
around the one bit thingy. But then I guess that Hannibal did have like the whole kind of manipulation over her.
Yeah, and was hiding her secret, and he was using that of like, I'm gonna help you out. It's okay, don't worry. And she sort of like took that as, especially at her young age, would take that as like security and safety. So because he helped her with something that was very scary, she's like, oh, I can feel safe, but I don't really know how to feel with Will. And she was hiding that from him, and then probably, wouldn't know what to think if he found out.
And we also had Hannibal manipulating her against Will, but yeah.
Yeah, Hannibal was like the more natural father figure, but he was also wearing another person's suit, so it's like, how much can you trust that relationship? So, a couple of little things I want to mention about that scene, because as soon as I started watching it, I was like, I have to research now. So, at the start of the episode, Will imagines teaching Abigail how to tie a blood knot. If you look up a blood knot, a lot of the images you'll see feature two different coloured lines. The reason for that is because it makes it easier to see how they tie together. Obviously, if you use the same colour, it's harder to see. But it also looks very symbolic because it makes the two lines look very distinctive in the way they come together. The reason that it's called a blood knot is because one string bleeds into the other. Ooh. So one loops around one side, then the other loops around, and then they tuck together. So they're literally merging and becoming one string.
Yay!
Which is interesting. There's another like family symbolic unity thing there between Will and Abigail. Kind of like, the blood ties of family without being blood related.
The Hannibal family.
Looking at the photo that you've provided for us, it's quite satisfying to see it with two very like distinctive colours. It's quite nice.
Red and blue.
I literally practiced making it with two different colours today.
Oh, nice.
I failed because I was using far too elastic string, but it is very satisfying to do. Also, I'd say they're tied together in blood literally as well because of their meeting circumstances for Abigail. Also, I couldn't find a way to intelligently tie this to Hannibal, but I still thought it was interesting, which is that in the human body, we also have a blood knot. Or a knot of blood, which is the glomerulus, which is the name of a knot or network of capillaries inside your kidney.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
So, fun facts. There's also a particular line that Abigail says to Will when referring to Hannibal. She refers to him as the one that got away. And I just very much like that as phrasing, because that phrase, or idiom, typically means when you fail to reel in a big fish. The one that got away, it's the big fish. It would have been a great catch, but alas, it got away, just evaded you. However, since meaning that, it has been more commonly used to mean losing someone important to you, usually romantic.
Particularly a lover, yeah.
Yep. So I just wanted to point that out, how interesting that wording is. I think it's also interesting that Abigail says it and not Will. It's Abigail pointing it out to Will. So it's an element of Will's psyche that is not Will that's saying it.
Yeah.
Evasive, maybe?
Interesting.
Will is infatuated with Hannibal.
I think, I'll be here for hours, but in my personal opinion, in a non-romantic way, yes. He meant something to Will throughout the first season, and I think that Will is becoming as obsessed with Hannibal as Hannibal is with Will at this point. He's getting to that point, just in a much more negative manner.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Right. I think we'll see more of that as it goes on as well, unsurprisingly, with the way that Will's weird little personality is going at the moment. So
whose fault is that?
yeah, it all comes back to that one naughty boy.
Naughty boy.
Let's veer away from the main boys for a moment, just to ask, what did you think about Killer of the Week, the sweet little bee lady, Catherine Pymms, who's played by Amanda Plummer?
I don't know why you keep calling her sweet.
I think she's a sweet little bee lady.
Literally kill people.
That's one way to put it, isn't
She
it?
gave one person
Technically, the honey.
a lobotomy.
Yeah.
Though I like the actor, I recognised her as soon as we watched her. I was like, oh, I know her. I like the actor. She's cool. She's as crazy as she was in the movies that I've seen her in. And God, as creepy as well, because she's very good at playing a creepy, sweet old lady. And I thought it was creepy. And I thought it was I'm helping these people. He's like, yes, by putting bees in them, not the bees.
Bees.
The bees.
Be better.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Yeah, she must be better.
Christ.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, like the actress, very good. Acting, spot on. The character, terrifying. Absolutely disgusting. But that made it. She did a very good job. I was absolutely horrified. I don't know. Yeah. Scary, but fitting for the theme of the show in general, I feel like.
To me, it gave little vague reminiscent vibes to Eldon Stamets with the Mushroom People. Because it's very visually effective, using practical effects with the masks and stuff they use for the eyeless faces. Look horribly real.
Yeah.
It's the visuals for this killer. Again, we have so many plot lines going on. So the fact they have this one little killer of the week and they've just been let's just make it look really cool. I really like. I love her she's one of my favorite killers, I think, just because I love her personality and her weird, misguided desire to help. And I also like the fact that when she's speaking to Jack about end of life and helping people, there's the constant little nudges about what's happening with Bella as well. Well, everyone's silent. No one mentioned that. No one mentioned that. I'll mention it. Yeah, both of you, back to me. If I could click my fingers effectively, I would. A terrible hypnotist. Speaking of terrible medical practices, Chilton employs a controversial psychoanalytical.
Yeah.
You got I think it sounded like you got so close to the mic, you just heard.
Sorry.
Melissa, valid. That is you with that one noise. You've summed up everything I was feeling.
The Chilton sound effect.
Oh my God, that was funny.
Try that again. Oh God, I'm sweaty. Right.
It's just the link that you made.
I was quite proud of that. It's gonna get edited out anyway. Right. Chilton. Try this again. Next talking point is Chilton employs a controversial psychoanalytical tool to test Will. Stop distracting me. And explore the depths of his experiences, which leads us to two conclusions. One, that Will has likely been subjected to similar by Hannibal, and two, that although controversial, it does allow Will to begin... No, it allows Chilton to begin to see the truth. I'm not editing this. But Chilton in all his arrogance, fails to bite his tongue with Hannibal. What did you think of Chilton's test, and what repercussions do you think his speaking to Hannibal might have?
I think he's a bitch.
Yeah, fair.
God damn it! Why would
the man? But it's true.
Why would he talk? I know why. His arrogance is so much. His arrogance is so much. He has to let Hannibal know that he's gotten to Will, that he's doing all of this. He has to know that he's wearing the big boy pants. It has to let everyone know that he's wearing the big boy pants because he's so smart. Yet he gets it wrong so many times. And yet, it's gonna just bite him in the ass. Like, sure, he's a very useful idiot to Hannibal right now, but it's gonna bite him in the ass eventually. And it did with Abel Gideon. Like, similar to Abel Gideon, it's gonna bite him in the ass of Hannibal. Instead of helping Will, which does help Will in a certain way, as in Will gets to know finally that Hannibal is the Chesapeake Reaper as well, and he gets to put those two and two together. But otherwise, god damn it! And like the whole, like, don't get me wrong, with him being like I think during the whole courtroom scenes, when he turns up, his scenes are fucking awesome. It's amazing because it makes me laugh. He's so arrogant. But he's such a out there character. He's a good character. So he's technically, like, I loathe to say this, but he's one of my favorite characters just because every time I see him, he brings out this rage in me. He brings out this rage and hate and spitefulness, and that just makes a really good character. So and he's so campy, and I love it. But,
he's so campy.
True, yeah.
He is the campest character by far.
Literally, my brain has just put two and two together and just started working. Oh my god!
When you realise how campy he is, you appreciate the act more.
I do.
Oh my god, Slay! He's such a twink.
He's such a twink.
Twinkie Chilton, love it. Oh, cute.
Amazing. Oh.
Big rights.
Yeah, we stand. We stand,
Chilton.
But no, we said this like during the watch. But he's so wimpy as well. It's
he is. He's a little bit.
So much bravado, so much arrogance, but yet so wimpy. And oh god, yeah, the whole scene. Good on him for like helping Will, even though he's trying to help himself. But like he's treading dangerous waters, and I worry to where it'll go. But you know what? If he dies, I wouldn't be sad.
Oh my god!
It's the two Fred situation. You're like, if it happens.
If it happens, oh well.
Oh well, peace and love. It's good what we love.
Peace and love, yeah.
He's no Beverly, you know.
Yeah, he's no Beverly.
Nobody
Breaks my heart. It's not going to break my heart. I'll be like, Hannibal did another bad thing. It's back to Chilton. It's Freddie. It's Frederick.
So nice.
Do you have any thoughts?
Okay. Yes. Hello. Thank you. What are my thoughts? I had them and then they left. No. I think there is that arrogance of like he wants to. I think there's a little bit of like jealousy, for sure, where he's just like, oh yeah, I'm doing better than you. Like, look what I've done. Like, I've gotten into Will's mind, and I've seen that you have been a massive naughty boy. Come into my room and I'll sort that out right now.
Are we shipping Hannibal and Chilton now?
I didn't before, but now that Melissa said that,
do you know what I mean? I feel it like enemies to lovers. Oh, yeah. No, I think I don't know. He could have been a good guy here, but there's something that kind of makes me think that, like, just the way that he was talking to Hannibal in that scene when they're going up the stairs, and he's telling him after, he's like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed. You didn't get my message. Oh, you fuck. You're so smug as hell that like he turned up. You probably didn't even leave him a message."
I think that's completely true.
Yeah, right. I think there's there's something that he said where he was like asking if he did some sort of type of therapy, and then I don't know if it was like he said like, you know, oh, it's like interesting or we've got to keep it a secret. Something along those lines. I can't even remember where he was like, it was almost like he was showing a bit of interest in the fact that Hannibal did it. And I'm thinking that maybe he'll want to like hold it as like blackmail or something, or he wants to get involved, because Chilton does give me that kind of vibe of like he would bend some rules to kind of get into someone's mind because he's like weird as fucking creepy and all of the rest of it. So I feel like he either wants to like be Hannibal or be with Hannibal or in Hannibal or the above.
All of the above.
He wants to, I think he wants to kind of like either team up with him or use it as blackmail to kind of team up with him still, or just I think he's interested in how he did this to Will and maybe wants to know more about the method so that he can practice it as well. I don't know. There's like a weird vibe around Chilton where I feel like he wants to get a little bit down and dirty, I think.
So, sorry.
Valid. Oh no, I was just agreeing with Melissa. But yeah, well, I have the transcripts up. But yeah, I think he was saying that Hannibal was so curious and eager to see to know what Chilton Frederick had to say about psychic driving.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing it all along, and then he said at the end, guys, that you're not the only one accused of making a patient kill, etc., etc. But yeah,
we have to stick together.
We have to stick together. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So I would agree with when you said jealousy. So my interpretation of why Chilton does what he does with Hannibal here and tells him about it is because on some level, Chilton is aware of the fact that he is in shit on some level. His reputation must have taken some damage after he got wounded by Abel Gideon, because people know that Abel Gideon is not the Chesapeake Ripper after that. It's pretty fucking clear that he was wrong about it. So Chilton gets hurt, probably means he was wrong. People probably know that he's wrong, and now he has who is this apparent psychopath in his control, and he's determined to use Will to prove himself. Whereas Hannibal Lecter is an incredibly well-respected psychiatrist who Dr. Chilton likes to have fancy dinner parties with. So Chilton knows that Hannibal is respected, and now he suddenly has this tidbit of information that could be borderline blackmail. So instead of being like secretive on Will's side or outright blackmail, he's trying to get Hannibal on his side and be like, we've both done bad things, so we should stick together, because if you stick with me, that'll help me. It's self-serving. So he is. I think he's jealous of Hannibal. So he's trying to be like, I won't tell if you're good to me and make me look good.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
He's a naughty man.
He's a naughty boy.
Do you know what? It's smart though. Like,
yeah, it's very smart. You want to. He is smart.
Yeah,
he's a smart boy, but like he's playing dangerous waters.
Very dangerous.
Playing dangerous games.
Sometimes you've got to be dangerous in order to get to where you want to be in life.
Yeah, but he's an asshole doing it. He's literally helping.
Maybe not something like criminal activity. There's a bit
helping a killer is not a
bit of a different ball game, but
helping a cannibal.
That's the thing. He now knows that Will was telling the truth about Hannibal doing something wrong. So if Will was correct that Hannibal was employing unethical medical practices, who's to say that Will is not right about Hannibal being a murderer?
Yeah.
So on some level, Chilton also has to take that into consideration. So he is playing a very dangerous game. Dodgy.
Yeah.
I think Chilton gets himself.
It should have been Chilton. It should have been Chilton, not my Beverly.
Leave my beautiful weird cat man alone. But
I
on
agree
the topic
with Shaira.
yeah, that's fair. And anyone over Beverly, to be fair. Yeah. So speaking of Chilton, I wanted to talk a little bit about what he does to Will. So Chilton employs the use of sodium amytal in a narcoanalytic interview. You may be more familiar with the term truth serum. That's what sodium amytal is. So narcoanalysis is both a form of psychotherapy, but it's also a form of interrogation. And it used to be used, I think it was originally like popular in World War II, but it was used decades after that as well. And it's been used with criminals alongside stuff like polygraph tests, which we now know are not accurate or reliable. So ultimately, when it comes to crime, methods like these were used less as a means of obtaining evidence and more as a means of encouraging prosecution, using science as a blanket to veil accuracy. It seems like a very clever method to get a criminal to confess, but the accuracy isn't actually there, so it's kind of coercive bullshit. So the idea is basically to use drugs with a sedative effect, because sodium amytal is a sedative, to make someone more lax. If they're lax and a little bit droopy, they're more likely to be talkative. That's really what loosening someone's tongue means. So you could argue that rather than it presenting a possibility of truth, it's more likely to risk someone to be more prone to influence. Yeah. Which is why it's not typically now accepted as a form of evidence. So obviously he's using it in a psychoanalytical context, despite Will being apparently a murderer, not as a means of evidence, because he's not a police officer. But it's still dodgy. So it's good. It has a good outcome for Will in a terrible kind of way, for both Will and Will explaining things to Chilton, up in the air as to whether that's good or not. But as a thing, fuck sodium amytal and fuck narcoanalytic interviews.
Yes.
And that's my soapbox moment. Thank you very much.
And fuck cops.
Yeah, fuck cops.
Absolutely.
So my
next bit in, but sorry, Mum. She's not police. She's not police.
Sorry, Melissa's mum.
I say it so much. God, I think. But anyway,
she's not police. I don't know. She works in research. That's all I'm allowed to know.
So my next talking point kind of came out of the blue when I was writing it, but I was like, we don't talk about them enough. So because we don't give them enough limelight, I wanted to highlight that this episode has some great Jimmy and Zella moments. With Jimmy's love of bees and their overlap talking. So what do you think about those 2/3 of Team Sassy Science?
I love those two, but like,
all right.
I like Jimmy better, but Zella's alright. Jimmy is so cool.
Which one is the golden retriever and which one's the black cat? Because there is answers, I feel like.
Oh, Jimmy is 100% the golden retriever and Zella's the black cat.
Zella is definitely the black cat.
So they are two lesbians together. Perfect.
There is no surprise at all that people ship the hell out of these boys.
Oh, that's so sweet, though.
That's amazing. I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy. Jimmy likes bees. Awesome. Bees is so cute, and I like bees. So like, I also like bees. He loves bees.
I also love bees.
And he didn't want the bills. He didn't want the bees to be killed.
Yeah, he like stopped them from getting rid of the bees. It's so cute. There is a cut line in the script. I will find it for you now. So they cut another line, which is him saying, "Colony collapse is already wiping out the bees. There's no reason to murder them too."
Exactly.
Very good.
It's so good.
He's so wholesome.
I think what's especially good about them is because this show is so heavy, and whenever there is some sort of relief from the heaviness, I've said the term comic relief before, but I feel like even then it's not really properly comic relief, because it's kind of like a tiny little something, like almost like when Hannibal says, "I said it was mild." It's kind of like a tiny little bit, and it's still not really enough to be a comic relief. Because a lot of shows, if it's heavy or whatever, comic relief is often like a whole entire scene. Whereas this has maybe tiny little moments where it's kind of like a little bit of a break or a little bit of an uplifting moment. Those two, whenever there's a scene with them and they have like their limelight and they really have a moment together, or whatever it is, where they're speaking about something, even when they're talking about a crime scene and it's like heavy and they're just sort of being like neutral about the facts and blah blah blah, and then they come out with a couple of one-liners, it's such a bigger relief, in my opinion, compared to other moments in the series.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really nice because you kind of cling on to it a little bit and you have a little bit of a break from the heavy stuff, which not always needed, but I feel like sometimes when you're really into certain episodes, I feel like sometimes it really is needed. So I feel like Yeah, I enjoy their moments a lot more just because it is a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.
Stuff.
100% agree with you. Not only do they give us relief, they kind of do it in a way like their jobs are heavy, right? And they're doing. I feel like not only are they not only are they giving us joy, they're bringing themselves joy in what is heavy times. Like some things sometimes you just gotta laugh about some things and like joke around, like, especially with heavy jobs. And I feel like it's completely valid what they do, and then it just gives us a bit of relief. And it's good fun. And it doesn't take away from the seriousness of like the procedurals or things like that. It adds to it because it's so human to be like that, and I like it. They add like a human element, so it's really good.
Definitely, because you kind of would want people in those kind of professions, like even in medical professions in a way, like in a hospital, to kind of have times where they are not necessarily always so serious because of all the things. Did you hear that?
No.
Okay, that's fine. He was very loud. They will have so many moments in their jobs, anything of anything kind of serious. You see so many horrific things day to day. You need to kind of be your own sort of light entertainment and kind of joke around and stuff probably for your own bloody sanity. So I feel like it makes sense that, like you said, like they're doing such a serious job, they're going to see such awful things. It makes sense that it would be also quite realistic of the people in that field. They're probably like making jokes and trying to be funny and stuff to kind of lighten the load of what they're quite literally looking at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have a feeling that like it's probably something that he would never admit, but I reckon they probably stopped Jack from going insane.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like everything 100%. He has to do. Yeah, he's the one exposed to them the most, so probably little things like that probably give him quite a big reprieve as well.
Yes.
And of course, they kind of have that little bit of a family dynamic together if you include Jack as well, which is really sweet.
And their daughter's dead.
That there are now only 2/3 left of Team Sassy Science. I tend to refer to them as like the Science Squad or the Science Team, but a big popular fan term for them is Team Sassy Science.
Oh, that's so cute.
Isn't
Team
it?
Sassy
really
Science.
Sweet. Yeah, Team Sassy
Team
Science.
Sassy Science family.
It's really sweet. So, our next talking point is about Bella. My last 3 pieces of trivia are all about Bella. Or more specifically, Bella. It makes you want to do it every time he says it. It makes you want to say it.
It's so cute though, the way they say it. He says it. Bella, Bella.
It's so sweet. But like it's specifically the 2 different scenes with Hannibal have a lot to talk about. And gave me lots of that. So I'll do one little bit of trivia, then we'll do the talking point, and then I'll throw in the other 2 bits of trivia. That's a nice way to sandwich it, a little Bella sandwich.
Lovely.
So the first scene with Bella in Hannibal's office, she remarks on Hannibal's copy of the Raising of Lazarus painting by Rembrandt. The Raising of Lazarus is a Bible story about Lazarus of Bethany. Bella says Lazarus had it good. My social circle doesn't include a friend with power over death. The friend in this scenario is Jesus, who I can't say the word Jesus normally, who raised Lazarus from the dead 4 days after his entombment and was one of Jesus's final miracles before his own crucifixion. I am agnostic. Like Bella, Lazarus was also ill, so there's that as well. It wasn't just like a normal death. He was very sick. There are different interpretations of the story because there are so many fucking different sects of Christianity. But one of them is a little grim in that they believe that Lazarus's resurrection was destined to lead to Jesus's own death on the cross as well. So it's kind of like a trigger point for what would be Jesus's ultimate inevitability.
Oh.
Sad.
So, it's all sad. So, let's talk about Bella. We have both metaphorically and literally 2 sides to a coin here. Bella wishes to take control of her narrative, which leads us to 2 options for Bella, which then results in Hannibal's coin flip. One path leads to granting Bella ultimate autonomy, the ability to end her life on her terms. The other path leads to granting Jack more time with the love of his life, to have every minute with her he possibly can. Which path do you think is the correct one, and what did you make of Hannibal's choice in the face of Bella making her own, both his method and the result?
That's heavy.
Yeah, it was heavy. I really like. I think the coin toss was a bit much. I think
same.
You could just jump up and go help her because one, it's not on you. Like I get that Bella needs this, and there's the argument to be made that she should get her own choice in this because it's her life, her buddy that's happened. It's her death and her going through it. But like, the one Bella really shouldn't have pushed that upon Hannibal or anyone really. And I get it. You don't want to be alone in your like final moments, especially when you're committing suicide. But but also like that coin toss was just too much. Just help her. Like just help her. Like she could be upset with you. She could be angry at you, and I get it. Why like sometimes coin toss would be helpful. Like I don't think it's one of the disgusting things that he does. Like I don't think it's particularly disgusting because that's such a heavy thing to put on. Maybe I think it might be even a really good idea to like flip a coin. If you like on one side, do I help my friend? On the other, do I not help my friend?
But that's how little he gives a fuck about human life, though. Like he said. He literally said himself that the idea of death is comforting, which I understand what he means, but it's also like how little he...
Yeah, exactly.
Just the fact of human life, because remember, he sees himself above everyone else. He kind of is like the in-between of God and humans, or if he doesn't like already see himself as God, he's kind of like, oh, what should I do about this human that's dying in front of me? Like any other human being would be like so distraught and so like confused and immediately already going and running up to help.
100%
like you said,
agree,
like you said, you were literally like, oh, just go and help her, but he's not like every other human, and he literally sees all of the people as below him, so he's just like, oh, let me just see, let's have some fun, let's flip a fucking coin.
Let's leave
the coin that
she
literally fucking gave you, that is so like careless and so fucking pathetic.
It is like
it's
so
infuriating, but it's also like, gosh, like this character has so many layers.
He's such a human suit, He's wearing such a human suit that he's like and it's not his empathy that's shining out there. It's his arrogance and his, like you said, his absolute inhuman nature, and that's shining through there. And that's why I just didn't think the coin toss was too much. Like maybe a more of a reasonable person, like okay, and someone who's more closer to Bella would be like, I can't make the choice. Both ways is hurting my friend. Is hurting my friend. If it was that choice, then I'd be a bit more like tossing a coin valid, but it just didn't seem right. And I agree with him ultimately saving her, because I think that's what anyone would just jump up and save them instantly, because it's such a difficult choice, and that's something that's so hard to be put on anyone. Hannibal, obviously, someone that could handle it, but but to put on anyone is difficult. But
yes,
that's my thoughts.
I agree.
It's so much, that episode, so heavy. There's so much more I can say about it, but it's hard to talk about.
I think that to answer your question, Felix, as to what would I do personally, like which decision I would make, I think it honestly really depends, because I think certain times call for either choice. I think exactly what Shaira said, it's awful to have anyone spring that onto someone else, because it is an awful position to be in. Like, how can you like how would any person that's not a normal position to be in, how the fuck would you react to that? Like, it's not, I have no idea, because I have no like experience of being anything in that position in any way. But I think it's really complicated, because the person that it is happening to has every single right to, you know, rest in whatever way that they choose. And if they are in too much pain and they don't, you know, they don't want to go through it anymore, whatever they decide ultimately is extremely valid, and they should have the right to whatever they go through in terms of treatment and, you know, all the rest of it. However, it's also very normal and understandable that they go through these thoughts and these ways of thinking, because, you know, I can't even imagine what it's like to be in a certain space in your life where it's just like, this is the like ultimate, you know, future that happens. Nobody wants it, and you've got to go through so many different thought processes and mental states and everything else. But what you don't think about, which again is very fucking valid because you don't really need to, but you don't think about really how much it affects everyone else. And even though you don't think that it should, maybe, or like you don't know that it is, and it's just like, you know, assumingly people will be like, you know, it's my decision, I should be able to do what I want, it doesn't matter about anyone else. But unfortunately it does, because one person's passing, generally speaking, affects so many different people around, to the point that you probably can't even think of what kind of domino effect it has. So for that to be on yourself is one thing. For it to be on someone else over someone completely different choice and actions is a whole nother thing. And I think that it's awful, because you kind of want to give the person exactly what they want, and they are definitely in their right to do that. However, I think if it's down to certain circumstances, I don't think it is right to take away something from someone in these kind of contexts. For example, Bella literally says that in response to Hannibal saying, oh, you're denying Jack a goodbye, and she says, I'm denying him a painful one. This would still be a fucking painful goodbye, because he wouldn't be able to be there. And it's still painful no matter what way she looks at it. Because when she said, I'm denying him a painful one, I was like, well, no, you're not. This is painful still. Like, either way, it's going to be a painful goodbye. Like, the fact that he's losing his wife prematurely is a painful goodbye, like, no matter what way that she looks at it. But it's the fact that she's going through this and is so awful to the point that she can't even see that. Because why would you? You're going through something that you shouldn't be, really. And it's crazy to even try and think about it. It's scary as well, because you don't want to think about it. But I think in those moments, I think for that context, I think, again, like what Shaira said, he was right to go and save her. But the fact that he left it down to a flip of the coin, just referring back to what I said, just shows how little he gives a fuck about human life. But definitely the right thing in that context, I think, is to go and help them. Because I don't think... I think if you were in that position and you were seeing that someone that in front of you was knowingly taking away the moment that their friends and family would want, I think it's not fair. It's not fair on the friends and family. And it does sound selfish in a way, because it's like the person should do what they want, and you know, they are entitled to that. It is happening to them and nobody else. But it kind of is happening to everyone else. It does affect everyone. So you can't do that to the other people. Like say, you know, the parents and the sisters, and they've got like a little brother that's under 10 years old or something, and you're like, you knowingly know that you are taking away a certain moment away from those people. I think you just have to help them. Sorry for the rambly yap, but it's hard. It's heavy.
Such a hard topic, don't worry. In what you say, a lot of the things you say, I agree.
Yeah.
I appreciate you both very much, because it is a very difficult topic. And it's a difficult thing to discuss on multiple levels. So, moving aside kind of Hannibal and who Hannibal is for a moment. If we move aside the fact that Hannibal's a prick,
Terrible male wife.
don't you go there. If we move aside Hannibal's male wife qualities, as much as I love Bella and I adore Bella as a character so much, I do think that inherently what she does here, and also regardless of her options and her choices and her autonomy, what she does is selfish.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Because she's exposing someone else to it and making them complicit.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, come on, brain, you had it right there.
It's hard to think of it as selfish, isn't it? Because you kind of feel bad because of the person, circumstances, and what they do.
Yeah.
But in objectively, it is selfish, really.
Yeah.
Also, though, if we take Bella into account as a character, she's extremely accomplished in her career and an incredibly intelligent woman. And the person that she is being selfish with would be, at least theoretically, legally bound to save her because he is a medical practitioner.
Yes.
So that's also, I don't think the show took this too much into consideration, quite stupid.
Yeah.
To try and overdose with someone who may still be a registered doctor, certainly as a psychiatrist, and would be obligated to do something.
Yep.
So again, if we take away who Hannibal is, he's still a psychiatrist who was a doctor and a surgeon. So that was a little bit silly of her.
He would have come up with some sort of something.
Oh yeah, but again, if you she doesn't know that.
That's
but
true,
she does know what his roles have been, certainly presumably. To me, the coin toss. Thanks, dyslexia. The coin toss in this is incredibly important. I think it can sometimes seem a little bit silly and a little bit unnecessarily cruel, but I think that it's actually a really important representation of two things. One is Hannibal as a person. I think that Hannibal genuinely likes Bella. I think he likes her as a person, and I think he respects her as a person. I don't think it's false. Like, obviously he wears his person suit always, but I think he does genuinely like her. He has no disdain towards her like he does towards others. She's not a swine. However, despite that, he's still willing to put her life on a coin toss. A coin toss. A flip of a coin. And I think that's the epitome of Hannibal. No matter how much he might like or respect someone, their life is still that meaningless to him.
Yeah.
That's a very important point about Hannibal. And the other important point about it being a flip of a coin is I think that it represents the ambiguity and the lack of a real answer as to what her options are. There is no path that is correct. Neither is better than the other. One serves Bella and one serves Jack. You could also argue that they serve each other in some kind of crossover.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that either is correct. I don't think it's right for her to take away her life early when her husband will do his damnedest to make sure that every last moment of her life is worth it. And I don't think it's fair for Jack to have the authority to tell her when she should end her pain. I don't think either are correct. And that's why a flip of a coin feels cruel, but I think it's a very good representation of the fact that both are valid paths and no one can say which one is right. It comes down to the individual and how they feel about it.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it really depends on the situation, because
that's exactly what I was saying as well.
Both have so many flaws, but I think in certain contexts, you even though they're both not really a great option to go with, I feel like you would be silly to not try and help someone if you were realistically in that situation.
Well, if you take Hannibal out of the picture, though, make it just Bella's decision. Say there's no one there who can help her, and she was on her own. I don't think it's fair to say that one decision is right or not.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. If it wasn't Hannibal, then I would 100% like a contest is such a valid way of doing something. Especially with something that hard, because it's like so difficult to make a decision. That difficult.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's a human thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a black or white answer, which I think is really good. I think it's such a brief little exploration in this episode with so much else going on, and I think it does a really good job of throwing that in your face, this horrible thing that is cancer that Bella is dealing with. which I really appreciate. My dad died of cancer, so I think from my own limited point of view, I really like how they deal with it. I think it's really well done. And also, it's these days, it's incredibly rare to find anyone who hasn't been touched by cancer in some way.
Yeah.
So, and again, I just think they did it good. On those scenes, I've got more information. I'm going to flip them over. I'm going to tell you the random boring bit first, and then the slightly more interesting bit. You can see it briefly in the scene, but specifically the drug that Hannibal uses on Bella is naloxone. That's an opioid antagonist, and it's used to reverse the effects of an opioid overdose. A lot of places now actively campaign to ensure accessibility of naloxone. I see a lot of campaigns in the US. I follow someone, have done for a long time, who campaigns in the US for naloxone, but we have it in the UK as well, trying to encourage more places to have it available in case of emergencies. Yeah, because it's used very commonly in circumstances such as accidental and purposeful addict overdoses. And the sad fact of the matter is, addicts are often overlooked when it comes to care and risk reduction. So, having something like that more available in the community is a great thing.
And it's so common and it's so easy to get to that point, unfortunately. So
all it takes is, if you are an addict, all it takes is one fuck up. It doesn't necessarily mean you meant to do it. So having that available, similar to like an EpiPen, having that available as an emergency medication is a fantastic idea.
100%.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. So, on the more Hannibal-esque things, Hannibal references Socrates offering a rooster to the god of healing, Asclepius, to pay his debt. He explains to Bella that Socrates' death was not a defeat, but a cure. So, according to Plato, Socrates' last dying words were, "We owe a cock to Asclepius. Please don't forget to pay the debt." He transcribed Socrates' death as he awaited poison to travel through his body. He was like feeling it from his toes going up his body. And Socrates considered Asclepius to be more worthy of emulation than warlike gods. Asclepius was the son of Apollo and represents healing not only in like a philosophical manner, but more of a literal one. So he represents the medical arts and medicine, basically. So in this context, and as shown by Bella with her paying a debt to Hannibal, Hannibal is kind of Asclepius. He's the medical practitioner that she is paying her debt to. So there are many different interpretations of Socrates' last words. I am not a philosopher, so I'm not going to go into them. But I highly recommend people look up stuff like this because it's very interesting. But my personal favourite is Socrates loved irony. So I like to imagine that his last words were sarcastic. The idea is that he's basically saying, we must pay our debt to the god of healing as I lie here dying and beyond medical help. It's like, thanks, Asclepius. Fucking no point now, is there? And I love that idea.
Oh, that's good.
Right? It's like, why would you thank the god of medicine when he knew he was going to die? Like, it wasn't an unknown. He was waiting for it to happen. The coin that Bella gives Hannibal is a 20 franc coin with a rooster on it. And that's the Gallic rooster, which is the national symbol of France. So she literally gives him a rooster to pay her debt, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Hell yeah. So, let's go back to poor Will. Poor baby boy. Will is regaining more memories. Not only Hannibal's methods, but... I'm going to say that again with a different inflection. Will is regaining more memories. Not only Hannibal's methods, but also what happened when Abel Gideon was in Hannibal's dining room. So now he knows that Hannibal is also the Chesapeake Ripper. Sadly, he has lost one person who is an outside source of support in proving the real killer, which we'll talk about in a bit. And Chilton is being a dick. But do you think that Will's recovered memories will help him get out of being imprisoned?
I hope so.
Me too.
I do too. I'm not sure if it's going to, because as you just said, we unfortunately are losing his external help, and Dr. Chilton is unlikely to be that external help. And
definitely not.
Yeah, it's unlikely if they 100%. But yeah. Still being hopeful, unfortunately, because I am. But yeah, I don't know if he can use that and somehow maybe he could. He tried to give that information to Beverly, but now Beverly's dead, and before even being able to go to Jack, as Will said, he should, but he didn't because everyone wants to go it alone apparently. So yeah.
Yeah, I think exactly what you said, Shaira. I agree. The fact that Will is losing his external aids is really not looking good for Will in his current situation. Be very interesting to see now how the storyline develops given this, because obviously it was very easy to see a way in which Will would be freed, with people like Beverly on his side, and Dr. Chilton literally is a bit unpredictable. I feel like he's got a little bit of like, what way is he going? So now we're just like slowly losing our sort of little Klingons of hope. So yeah, I think I don't know. Like Shara said, we hope that he will get out, but fucking hell, like, I don't even know what's going to happen. It's hard to have that hope.
It kind of feels like every opportunity is being stolen away, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because like, there was the court extra defense and Hannibal being all, this'll work, and it didn't. And then Beverly found evidence. Oh, it's fucked. Will remembers things. Chilton's a dick.
Yeah, like
It's very
everything
cruel.
thing is just like, oh look, we're getting oh look, give us a morsel of hope. No, that whole hope is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's really mean.
so mean.
This series, after everything that happened to Will in series 1, is so cruel. I was gonna say as a final talking point, let's talk about Beverly, but we spoke about it quite a bit at the start of the episode, if I'm honest. So,
R.I.P. Beverly.
We did.
You sounded so far away.
Yeah, what happened?
I accidentally pushed my mic away from my mouth because I was like I was putting my face into my hands and I accidentally pushed my mic out of my way. I'm like, yeah.
I had to run and grab Nokia Churu because she was crying. She was literally crying and yelping. I tried to text my brother to get her to give something. I don't know if he's just like watching YouTube or if he's asleep.
We lost a real one.
Yeah, might have fallen asleep on my bed, which is going to be fun later.
Push him.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah. Is there anything else anyone wants to say about Beverly?
R.I.P. to a real one. Bye-bye.
R.I.P. to a real one. I'm pouring one out. I got water on my floor now.
F's in the chat. F's in the chat.
What are we going to do, Clara? How is he going to get out?
I don't know. Maybe we should help him.
I was going to say, should we go and break in?
Yeah, we might go and break him out.
Back in the day, there used to be a hashtag free will thing back in the day.
Amazing.
So we're kind of like reviving hashtag free will a little bit.
Yeah,
Free Britney versus free will in terms of trending on Twitter.
I have something else to say. Surprise.
Oh.
I forgot to say at the start of this. This episode is Takiawase. This is the vegetable course of kaiseki, and they're served with either fish, meat, or tofu. The ingredients are simmered separately and then plated together. You're welcome.
Yay! Yeah, that's the thing that we usually miss from the start.
Yummy, yummy.
I totally missed the episode thing. It was right there in front of me. I was like, let's talk about Abigail.
That's why Abigail is more important.
Yeah, I have Abigail to go for my brain. So you know what time it is? Sendingy bits.
Andy bits. I don't have any Andy bits.
Don't you lie to me.
I do.
Let's do quotes, Shaira.
Oh, it's me. Oh yeah. Woo. Okay. Honorable mention to I like bees.
I love bees. Don't you downplay it.
Oh yeah, don't. I love bees. The bees.
Oh yeah, bees.
Be kind to everyone. Anyway, but you better believe. Sorry, but you gotta believe. Sorry,
Lord.
That's a Spyro quote.
Nerd.
I am a nerd. I love Spyro. You gotta believe. Anyway, my favorite quote is like I remembered it because it was like, oh yeah, and it's gonna tie in with something I will say a little bit later, but it's literally Bella's talking about the kush she has for her pain. And it's like the young man at the dispensary called this purple kush. He says all his cancer patients love it. It's deep, bloody stone. And
I love the way she says deep bloody stone.
Deep bloody stone.
So funny.
Deep bloody stone. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was good. That was such a good quote. And I think that's it. I don't have any. Like, there's not much quotable things that I found in this, or like that, like jumped out at me. But yeah.
Well, to bounce off of that, my favourite quote is, "I'm supporting my wife."
Hell yeah.
As he makes a fucking joke and he's like, "I'm supporting my wife."
It's so cute.
That's
Yeah.
so cute.
So sweet. Well, I guess I have to be different. 'Cause I have a Hannibal quote, so...
Yes.
Well, it's a little bit associated, because my favourite quote from this episode is, "I've always found the idea of death comforting. The thought that my life could end at any moment frees me to fully appreciate the beauty and art and horror of everything this world has to offer."
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, the fact that he slips horror in there, I think is my favourite thing about that quote. It's like, oh, it lets me appreciate everything, including the terrible things. But I kind of like that, and from as someone who loves to research and learn point of view, I like that point of view, I guess. I like that outlook when it comes to death and life. And I'm one of those people, I know it's very common for people to either be afraid of or think about death a lot, and I have never been one of those people, so I quite like that.
I'm not afraid, and I think about it in the terms of because I'm depressed, but otherwise, nah. I'm not afraid
I think
of it.
about it and I'm a bit afraid of it. I think I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but I'm a little bit of both.
I didn't know that was a really common thing until I kind of learned about it recently and found out that's really common. I've never experienced it, but that's a really normal thing to think about death a lot and worry about it.
Yeah,
apparently is, and I think about it a lot, but I don't worry about it because I also don't think life is worth living either. But so my favorite moment, honorable mention quickly, is the first scene with Abigail and Will. I just liked it. I liked smiling Will. I liked just how cute and warm that felt before we got dragged back into reality. But then my favorite moment is literally where my favorite quote comes from, and it's the whole Jack and Bella scene. It's just so tender and so cute and so loving, and I love it so much. It was so funny at the same time, and just and then Bella, and then him talking about with the signoras walking after her. Adorable.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
My favourite moment kind of makes me a bit upset. But it's a happy moment, but it makes me sad. I've literally wrote down Beverly smiling at being similar to Will, because the moment where Hannibal literally says, like Will's words coming out of your mouth, something like that. The way
it's like every time you say something, it sounds like Will is talking, something like that.
Yes, yeah. And her look, like her eyes are just like beaming, and she goes really smiling and happy, and she like takes that as such a big compliment, and it's so sweet. And the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like she really takes it as like such a high praise. And then the fucker goes and kills her. Absolutely distraught. I've never known heartbreak like this.
Right.
My fault. I'll take the blame.
Fucking better be, yeah. I love how you said absolutely piss all when we were watching it as well.
What was I going to say?
You literally just sat there, no warning, nothing.
Yeah, no talking.
Right, so for context,
it's scary.
For context, when we all watch the episode together, we do it so that Felix can kind of get our first initial like live reactions.
I legitimately find it helpful for preparing the podcast.
Yeah,
it helps me form what we're going to talk about.
And it's also just very fun, like, and for us as well as like Felix as well. Like everyone has a great time, everyone involved, as it should be. And that was me trying to like joke and be like, everyone involved should have a good time, as it should be here, sexy times. Anyways, it was a bad joke. It's fine. Carry on.
Went over our heads. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. And so usually, yeah, we'll be having chats and like not like loads, but sort of like just saying things here and there and just like chilling.
Oops, sorry. I was just saying. I pointing out that Felix wasn't talking either.
yeah. And so all of a sudden, like quite a bit before this scene even happened, before like we even saw Beverly like in the room, like where she's talking and they say like, oh, what did you say? There's like stitching covering stitching, and that was what made her go and look at the other killer's body with the mural and stuff, the muralist. And even before then, Felix just stopped. Felix just dropped out as if they weren't like in the room anymore, and they were quiet for a long time. And then I picked up on it when Beverly was looking around in Hannibal's gaff, and I was like, they're a bit too quiet.
Yeah.
Said anything? Why are they not saying anything? I'm a bit nervous, and my heart started racing. And then the worst thing that could have ever happened to me, and I've been distraught ever since.
Do you want to know why I was quiet?
Humour me.
It's because I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to hurt. And there's fuck all you can say.
Yeah, I know.
And it was like, it's like I can't spoil it. I can't warn them. They're just. It's one of those things where you're just like, they're just gonna have to have the worst time, like the rest of us. Unfortunately, my friends must suffer.
Yeah, and I did think you were quiet because we could probably hear it. We could probably hear the pain.
If I had said anything, you would have been suspicious as fuck.
Yeah, we'd probably hear the pain in your voice and like the inflection. So yeah, I 100% get it.
I muted a lot and kept quiet, but when we watched the first season finale, I sobbed through that whilst we were all watching it. If it's anything like when I watched it with a friend recently, you'll be very lucky and happy to hear that when we watch the season 2 finale, you probably will hear me crying, because I can't stop.
So we'll be there with you.
It gets worse before it gets better, and then it gets worse again.
I mean, I cried too, but I just couldn't cry in front of you. I was just getting choked up. So I was like, okay, I need to get off because I'm gonna cry then.
It depends. So, just a quick little note: when I first watched Hannibal, none of it made me cry at all. I think it'll be a little bit different for you two because we get into it so in depth. So we know the characters on a much deeper level than a lot of people probably would at a first casual watch. So there's that element. So I genuinely don't know how the finale is going to hit you because it hits me harder from multiple watches because I understand the scene so much better. I think it's going to fucking hit you hard, but it might not hit you as hard as I make it sound.
Okay.
But it will destroy you, just not as badly as it destroys me. it might destroy you more when we watch it again and analyse it. It's fine, we've got ages to go. We haven't even hit the midway point of this yet.
Well, it's already destroying me, so I'm going to get destroyed.
My favourite moment is Chilton's conversation with Will when he's in the therapy cage, and Chilton's being really catty and Will's being really catty, and they're both trying to manipulate one another, but Chilton's so smug he thinks he's playing Will when he's not. He's being very obviously manipulated.
Yeah.
And I kind of mentioned when we were watching it, that scene is very clearly where a lot of people start shipping them, and myself included, because there's the Will is borderline flirtatious towards Chilton. He's undeniably flirtatious because he's like.
I mean, you gotta stroke his ego, so you know. I get
That's
it.
what he's doing. I need to get the quote now. 1 second.
You got to stroke his what now?
Stroke his ego, but you can stroke his other things as well if you want to.
He says you'll be the first and last word on the mind of Will Graham. You could dine out on that for years. And he's also like, shouldn't you be my one and only psychiatrist, Dr. Chilton? He's being flirty as fuck because he's appealing to Chilton's ego, and I adore it.
He's stroking Chilton's body.
Only in my fan fiction, which I will eventually publish when I finish it. So, favourite moment? No, that's the one we've just done. Next episode predictions.
I am going to go positively, and I'm going to say Beverly doesn't die. Beverly lives.
Okay, well,
Hannibal spares
I
him.
was kind enough to tell you and let you know that she does because I knew otherwise you'd wonder.
I know.
But it's fine. Let's say Beverly lives.
Beverly lives. Hannibal
Beverly lives.
Hannibal lets her live. Hannibal just keeps her in a dungeon and feeds her. And,
How fucking cruel would it be if I've been lying to you this whole time and actually she's alive in the next episode?
Oh my god, I would
I-
quit.
I think you would actually hate me
I
too.
would quit.
I would, yeah.
Like, I've lied about plenty of things whilst we've done this podcast. That's not what I've done. I think you would both quit.
Yeah, I would quit. Like,
Sorry, carry on, Shaira.
No, that's okay. But yeah, so that's positivity out. We're gonna see some sad moments. Oh, actually, we're gonna see people going their daily lives. Because I don't think they're gonna know that or feel that Beverly's gone until kind of like, oh, she's not coming to work today. Maybe she's sick, etc., etc.
I hate that.
What?
I hate that. That sounds cruel.
It is true. But you know what? I'm just going off with of this capitalist hellscape. Remember that? Remember that article that came out with this person that died in their cubicle and no one noticed until a few
Oh god.
24 days later.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
recent thing.
God.
Recent thing. Yeah.
So
yeah.
sad.
I know it sucks. But you know, but obviously, even though they don't know, her presence is going to be surely missed in the part of the Sassy family. The Sassy crime family. I'm so sad. Obviously, Will is going to have to find someone else, or at the end of it, Will get us a hint from Hannibal that he's done something terrible to Beverly, and that's what I feel is going to happen, and that's going to unfortunately break Will, or get me more angry and get more riled up in trying to save himself so he can save other people and his friends and family from this monster who's not a good male wife. But yeah,
I'm not saying anything.
That's my predictions, and also more cannibal family. We've got the person who made honey.
Mhm.
We need more people. Unfortunately,
Yep.
Hannibal is losing all of his produce makers, so
He
there needs
is.
to be there needs to be replenishment of
Yes.
of that.
Absolutely. Agreed. My predictions are, I think that Dr. Chilton is going to try and use Hannibal for his personal gain, as we have discussed. I think he's going to blackmail him with going to FBI and whoever else with the truth about what he did to Will. And I think this is going to be caught on by Hannibal, and Hannibal is eventually going to have that girl for lunch. If anyone knows the lyrics to Billie Eilish Lunch.
Oh shit! Yeah,
I do.
For lunch. That bit. So he's gonna have Chilton
Such a
for
plot.
lunch. Yeah.
We can
Yeah,
only
well-
hope that one of the Fredericks go down. One of the Fredericks go down.
Go down where?
Heyo, maybe on Will, maybe by the death of Hannibal.
in Felix's mind.
I like these predictions. Anyway, I also think, on a positive note, I think Will does eventually get out. I think, just as a general future, somewhere, he gets out. And then when he gets out, he's going to engage in homosexual cunnilingus on his man.
Yes!
Which man that is, I don't know, but one of them.
Both. Why not both?
Hey,
What
yo.
the men celebratory out of prison,
Sharing is caring.
sees.
Going out with the boys. One down the pub. One too many. Way, we're back at mine. Get the dogs out. It's boys' time.
I want a Will getting drunk episode. There is a popular fan headcanon that I think I mentioned it ages ago in one of our season 1 episodes.
Really?
But because Will is from I want to say Louisiana, I don't think that's right, but he's from Virginia. He was a police officer in New Orleans, So the idea that when Will gets tipsy, his southern accent comes out, because he should have a southern accent, but he doesn't.
Okay.
So yeah, love the idea that if Will gets drunk, he gets southern.
Hey, that'd be so funny.
It would be so cute. My next episode predictions is that in order to try and ease some of the tension in the BSHCI, Dr. Chilton decides to hold a dance-off for all the inmates.
What inmates will those be, though?
Hmm?
What inmates will those be?
All of them. Will, the others that we don't see. all of them.
It does feel like an empty
guys.
prison. Yeah.
There's names in the books, okay. Miggs or something. It's one of the inmates in the books. Anyway, I think that's the guy who comes on people. Anyway.
Uwu?
Yeah, not in a nice way. There's one of the inmates in the Hannibal books that's like near Hannibal in his cell, likes to ejaculate and fling it at people as they walk by.
Okay.
Oh, yucky.
Fun facts. So, are you ready for my haiku sign-off this week?
Yeah!
Oh, yes. I really enjoy this part.
My sign-off is... Beverly is dead. But an old friend says hello.
Oh.
New iconic mask!
Fate and Circumstance is an independent podcast brought to you by Felix Fanfaron Fern, Melisa Suzan, and Shaira Bambi. You can find and follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at HannibalPod. We are fans of the show NBC's Hannibal and do not own the rights to any of the materials discussed, merely appreciators. The music used in this podcast is Tchaikovsky's Op No. 40 Waltz by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. Thanks for listening.